Welcome to The Art of the Possible. I'm Samuel Kane, VP of Experience at Astound Digital. In this series, we'll explore the future trends across industries, from innovation, creativity, and pioneering technology. In each episode, we'll take you through demonstrations that show what's possible and what's next, whether it's reimagining customer experiences, transforming operations, or unlocking entirely new opportunities. We're here to inspire forward thinking and help you imagine what's possible. Today, our focus is going to be on the cruise industry. So I'm going to walk you through an artifact that my team have produced that really shows how we can elevate, particularly when it comes to excursion bookings pre-cruise. So before I dive in, I just want to briefly say that the use case we're going to look at here is a particular persona. They're going to be renewing their vows, but it might be also particularly relevant for families. It could be maybe like a girls trip. It could be a bit more people that are looking for a bit more adventure. And I'm going to call out as we go through how we would adapt the experience for those various use cases. So before we dive in, this works, right? So we can see here that pre-cruise excursion bookings have been increased by 45% with one of our clients, which is really pretty significant if you imagine, obviously, the revenue, the uptick that comes with that. So it's real proof that the right experience drives action. Let's throw ahead here to meet some good friends of mine, Adam and Jewel. They're approaching their 20-year anniversary and they've decided to renew their wedding vows. What better way to do that than to have a romantic cruise of the Caribbean? So it's the first time they would have ever been on a cruise before. They're based in Chicago, they're mid-40s, and they've got pretty high expectations. We can see Jewel and I are looking forward to a well-earned break. We like things to be easy, we're a really spontaneous couple and always prefer to spend less time planning and more time making memories. We can see that obviously they're pretty brand loyal, premium, and they haven't got an awful lot of spare time on their hands, so they do expect things to be as catered for them as possible. You can see a little bit more information here about their financial attitude, brand behaviour, shopping habits. All these kind of things help us build the picture of how we can best super serve them as part of an experience. So let's throw forward. I mentioned they're a time poor, they really are. They've even got a travel agent to go ahead and do their booking. You can see here they're relaxing, bathing in the warm glow of a booking confirmation email for Larkin Cruises for 6 months' time. While they did this, the travel agent also suggested they might want to check out a particular excursion to Harrison's Cave, which is something he did with his family while they were there. But 6 months away, we're probably not in a position where they're going to be thinking about excursions right now. They've got bigger things to do, right? They need to plan their new wedding ceremony, getting all their friends invited, etc. So let's throw forwards to when it becomes relevant. Now, in this case, data shows us that 60 days is probably that sweet spot. So 60 days until we set sail and we send an email. So at this point, if we just consider what we already know about Adam and Jewel in terms of this personalization, so we probably know what kind of standard booking accommodation they book. So maybe if it's a premium cabin, for example, we know where they're from. So we might have a little bit of an understanding about what sort of, what propensity they might have for particular excursions, etc., their price point. So we can, to some extent, customize this initial email. You can imagine, obviously, if this was to a family, as I said, there's other use cases, the content in here is going to be pretty different. But we can see some of those excursions that they might interact with. Pretty exciting stuff. So anyway, Adam calls down Jewel. Jewel, come on, 60 days, let's get these things booked. That's probably how I would say it. So we go ahead and sign up. I'm not going to go through all of the screens here, just the ones that really get into the specifics around that customization. So we can see this, we're now landed in that account created portion of the preference sort of onboarding we've got at the start of the experience. 3 things to call out. One of them, they can skip it if they really wish. Second thing is we've got a free gift, an incentive in the top left-hand corner. In this case, it's really about that reward. So in this case, we're giving away $48 worth of value to the customer. This is something that often customers do with A/B testing, they do data modeling to understand, is this the right incentive to kind of get someone over that threshold to carry out these kind of tasks? And if they do carry out these kind of tasks, what's the reward for personalising this experience? So when I say that, it might be that people that personalise their experience are 5 times more likely, for example, to book X amount of additional revenue. We can see then we've got a natural language kind of search box here, rather than filtering what their vacation's about. In this case, we're incentivizing them, or encouraging them, I should say, to kind of use natural language. They go ahead and they write in that they're renewing our vows. So what we do here is we then make a few call outs to what we think might be relevant. So we can say, are we on the right track? Perhaps you're into romance, dance classes, speciality dining, couple spa. Lots of other things that we could call out. A few things, if they're maybe not interested, they could deselect. So maybe movie night, hair and nails maybe isn't something they're looking to spend any time doing. They go and they press, that feels right. Next screen then comes up a bit more information about them individually. They can add a profile picture. They can link their social media accounts. Just for reference there, linking social media accounts if they're publicly available, and that's information that we can scrape and ingest. Again, we learn a bit more about the couple in terms of places they've been, where they've checked in at, etc. So again, we can start personalising the experience even more. We go through, we save this, and the next opportunity here, or the next filtering, is more about their dietary preferences. We can see Jules a pescatarian, Adam's dairy intolerant. But then we could go on and ask them many more things. What sort of activities they're looking to do? What sort of budget they're looking to spend? What sort of activity level in terms of like the strenuousness, like hiking, etc. they're looking for. The more we can, I guess, the more the incentive that we're offering, probably the more questions we can ask, I think is probably quite a fair trade-off. But in this case, we're going to skip the rest of them and go ahead and save those preferences. And now, boom, look, we land on the My Cruise landing page. We can see we've got this wicked video in the background showcasing all the cool stuff they can expect to do when they're on their travels. It's personalised for them as well. We've got very simple navigation, My Cruise, Explore Experiences. Then we've got their My Account and the actual cart itself. But look, this is the bit they're here for, right? We scroll down and we can see the itinerary at a glance. So we can see if we can scan across all the different places they're going to visit. Looks super exciting, but you know what? It's very empty. There's only one thing in there currently, which is that elegant balcony dinner that they were gifted based on fulfilling that the personalization portion. But another thing we could do is, maybe you can see if I click on this one, is we can make some suggestions for them as well. So again, based on what we've learned about them before and lookalike profiles, etc., we might suggest they want to go catamaran snorkeling, or they want to go to Harrison's Cave. Just a nice example of how we can super serve that particular user persona. We scroll down, we can see some more excursions. We've got a tab navigation at the top with some of the top things to do while they're in Barbados. Obviously, the users clicked on this. We can see a few bits and pieces in here. One that's pretty relevant is the discovery recommendation. We know that this user persona is really turned on by they're pretty brand loyal and led by those kind of sort of governing bodies, and any voices of authority would help them make a decision. So well worth looking at. We're going to scroll down the page. We can see Larkin personalized. Again, just a call back to that brand we've already seeded at the start of the personalization session. We can see they can go ahead and edit that if they so wished. As we scroll down, we can now see the first portion where we actually have, where we're suggesting personalized content. So in this case, we can see celebrate renewing your vows in style. We've got the profile pictures on here as well. So if someone's scanning the page quickly and I see a picture of myself, I'll probably look at it. We've then made a few suggestions here around what they might want to do. Hot stone massage, champagne package, tango class. Why wouldn't you? Again, if this is for a very different user personas, we might show some more family-led activities. It might be more like adventurous activities they can get up to. So we can go ahead and scale these modules really easily, just showcasing different content. As we go down, we can now see a bit more about the dining opportunities. So we've got luxury fine dining, and in this case, we're being suggested the Tenderloin Grill. It looks amazing. You can see here as well, celebrate renewing your vows on us. It's pretty cool. I like the idea of that. We often in real life get great concierge and that kind of white glove service when we go to lovely restaurants, etc. Doesn't happen near enough when it comes to digital experiences. So starting to seed that through really raises the expectation of the user in terms of what they can expect from going ahead and enjoying their cruise with Larkin. As we come down, we can see a few more specialty dining options, but I think this is about excursions. Let's crack on. So we come back here and we go view all, which takes us to the PLP page. So we can see we've got that familiar navigation across the top in terms of location, and we've got an active page. So I've kind of shown some of these things turned on for the excursions. But what's extra cool here is that now that we know a bit more about Adam and Jewel, then we can have this particular, I guess, subset of filters that will turn on if I was to go ahead and flick this switch. So if that meant that I can basically put the PLP page in a mode for Adam, I could also put it in a mode that also adds Jewel to that, which is then only showing activities that are going to be super relevant for them and based on the preferences they've already given. So where this becomes particularly useful, if you imagine you've got one of your party that maybe has mobility issues, it wouldn't suggest anything with a particular activity level over a certain threshold to make sure that everything is comfortable for all your guests. In this case, Harrison's Cave obviously was something their travel agent mentioned. They're going to go and take a look. So as we click this, we come to this modal window. We can see here, obviously, if we wanted to, we go through the gallery, have a look at the various images. But Jewel really fancies this turtle swimming. So she's seen it on the side of the page. Come on, Adam, let's have a look at it. So we've moved over now. We can see what this is about. A bit more information about like the activity level of it, a bit more, sort of text to sort of explain it. And we could go ahead and book it right here, and it would add it to the cart, and we can then personalize it in terms of guest timings. But in this case, we're going to go to the PDP page instead. So this is that full page. So we can now see this is, I guess, it's a bespoke page exclusively for this excursion. Why is it so great for them? So you can see here again, based on those preferences they've set, that it would be great for Jewel because she said she's interested in wildlife, and for Adam because he said he's interested in ocean swimming. We call out a bit about the excursion, that there's going to be a free photo session as part of it, as an upsell, and then a bit more about the actual activity itself, the itinerary when they need to get there. We've then got some reviews as well from a verified guest with some imagery. We can then see a bit more content about some of the staff. In this case, this is a call out for their Shore Excursions director. And if we wanted to, we can have a look at some additional excursions that would be pretty relevant to when we're looking at. But for now, we think that this is probably a great choice for them to go ahead and make that booking. So if we go ahead and book and add that to the cart, there would then be some configurations I mentioned in terms of who's going timings, so we aren't going to go into that now. But what we will do is talk about how we can then use the cart to upsell other personalized things. So in this case, we can see it's at the top here, but now it's more about potentially speciality restaurants, which is something they said they're interested in. So we've got the Tenderloin Grill here as a personalized call out alongside the Pezzule Lagrange. Terrible, I'm sorry. And the Catch by Mike sounds great, but in this case, let's have a look at what this personalized option was. So go to the PDP page, similar template we've seen before. A few other bits and pieces on here though to call out. One of them is obviously showcasing the fact that there is an opportunity to upgrade to a whole suite of speciality restaurants if they so wished. They can come down the page, and again, we see some of these call outs. So what Jewel might like on the menu, and also what Adam might like. And we mentioned before, obviously, about the free bottle of champagne on it as well. We can see a few more bits and pieces about what to expect from the restaurant, some great reviews. But then we get to the menu, is quite interesting because they start exploring, various different drinks they can get access to. And we can see at this point that actually, if they were to invest in the premium package, perhaps it might actually start paying off decent value. So that's probably something that they're going to be interested in. If we go down the page a bit more, we can see we've got call outs to the culinary history of Mike, who's the head chef on board, other restaurants as well they might be interested in. But in this case, actually, what the couple are going to do, they're going to go ahead and add a bundle to the cart. So in this case, the drinks package and make a reservation all in one. So they've gone ahead and they've done that. So we've added two things to the basket. We've seen some opportunities there for spa and all the rest of it. We don't expect them to do all of this stuff in one go, right? So this is, bear in mind, it's 60 days away. They've got a little bit of time. What we will then go ahead and do is over that period of time, we might then revisit, and there might be some more emails or SMS or whatever you think is most appropriate about other experiences that they could book. Perhaps new things have become available. But this is where things get really interesting in terms of what else we can do on board. So imagine this. So we've already got that booking for the turtle swimming in Barbados, first thing in the morning. But as we dock in Barbados, Larkin Cruises know that they've actually got a bit of availability. So while Adam and Jewel are just resting up in their room, watching a bit of the big game, why not use those interactive features as part of the TV? So in this case, we can interrupt the big game with a call out. So in this case, we say, morning Smiths, look, we've got 2 spaces left at 4 p.m. for the Harrison's Cave excursion. We know that they've shown intent because they've clicked on it in the modal, so we know it's something they're kind of semi-interested in. Maybe they just need a bit of an incentive to get over the line. So in this case, 33% off just for you. They could go ahead, scan that QR code, add it to cart, and then later on in the day when they get back from the turtle excursion, they could go ahead and hit the Harrison's Cave and really see if it's any good. I'm sure it's great. So that is what I wanted to walk you through today. There's so much more that we can do in this space. This is obviously just one particular use case. But as I mentioned before, we're already starting to see really significant uptake in terms of bookings that have been made. So we know that this personalization works. This was just for that use case and those personas, and that's how we do things at Astound, always empathizing with the end customer. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you on the next one.